So guys, slicing is a method through which we parse or access a range of elements inside a list. By parsing, I mean we go from one end to other end or from one element to other element inside the list. Now, in order to understand this slicing, we will take some examples. But before that, let me remind you the range function again. Range function has a start point, has an end point, and a step or an increment. We go from start element till end minus one index with an increment of step in a range function. List slicing also follows the same kind of syntax. Suppose I have a list from 1 till 10. If I want to access each element inside the list using the range function, I'll be using the for loop with range function. Similarly, in the list slicing, I'll be having the list variable L1 followed by scare braces, same as that we use in indexing. I will be having a start index followed by colon, followed by an end index, followed by colon, followed by the step. So same as that in the range function, that is a start followed by end followed by step, I have the same kind of index in slicing also. And similarly to range function, the slicing also goes from start till end minus one index with an increment of step whatever given inside the slicing. If I have this list L1 and I want to travel from this 3 till this 8, how I'll be doing this? I'll be calculating the index of 3 first of all. This is 0, 1, 2 index. I'll be having the starting index as 2. Then colon 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 is lying at index number 7. So if I want to travel this to 7, I have to supply here 8. Why? Because slicing also goes till end minus 1 with an increment of 1 at each axis of the element. So I'll be getting the list from 3 to 8. So guys, in range function, we have seen one thing. If we don't define this start, it is by default taken as 0 by Python. If we don't define the step or the increment, it is by default taken as 1 by the Python. Similar to this, if I don't define the start in slicing, it is by default taken as 0. If I don't define the increment, it is by default taken as 1. And if I don't define the end element also, which is here 9, it is by default taken as the last index inside the list. So here I have defined an end-to-end list with an increment of 1. If I don't define any start, any end, and any step, I may write this 0 to 9 with an increment of 1 as simply colon colon. This is equal to this. So whether I write L1 0 9 1 or I write L1 colon colon, the one and the same thing, and the output here will be a list from one end till the other end. So we know one thing, that this is index 0, 1, 2, 3 when we travel from leftmost direction till the rightmost direction, that is in the forward direction. However, if I want to travel inside a list in the reverse direction, that is I want to start at 10 and I want to travel till 1, what I'll do here, I will be traveling through indexes in the reverse direction. So like this is index 0 when I travel in the forward direction, this will be index minus 1 when I will be traveling in the reverse direction, that is from the rightmost element till the leftmost element. So if I write L1 minus 1, it will be giving me the last element, because in the reverse direction minus 1 means the starting index. Then the second last element from forward direction, the second last element is 9. In the reverse direction, second last index is at position 2. This is 1, this is 2. So if this is minus 1 index, this will be minus 2 index. So if I write L1 minus 2, it will be giving me the second last element. And similarly, if I want to travel from 10 say till 5, what I'll be doing, I'll be using slicing. How? I'll be traveling from minus 1 index till minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6 index in the reverse direction. So as the list goes till end minus 1, minus 6 minus 1 is equal to minus 7. So I have to supply here minus 7 with a step of, in the forward direction I take a step of 1, in the reverse direction I'll be taking the step of minus 1. Why? This is minus 1 index, minus 1 gives me minus 2. So this is index minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, and having a step of minus 1 at each element access, I'll be getting the element access of the next element is available inside the list. So here the increment factor will be minus 1. So if I execute this, I'll be getting the element from 10 till 5. And similar to this syntax where I travel the whole list in the forward direction, I may also travel the list in the reverse direction in the same way as colon colon with an increment of minus 1. So this will be giving me index from last element till first element. That is, I'll travel the list in the reverse direction. So guys, this is the list parsing in the forward direction and in the reverse direction. Let's see some more examples. Suppose I have a list of strings, say string, say Python, Xerox, Nitin, radar, level, pool, say kayak. Let's say I want to find which elements inside this list are palindrome. First of all, what is a palindrome? Palindrome is a string which we read in the forward direction or in the reverse direction, gives us the same output. For example, this Nitin, if I read this Nitin from this side till this side, or from this side till this side, that is in the forward direction and in the reverse direction, they will give me the same output, which will be Nitin. Similarly, radar will be also giving me the same output. So such elements which when read in the forward or in the reverse direction gives us the same output are called palindromes. So in this list, I want to find which elements are the palindrome. So guys, in order to find this thing, I will have to use a combination of a for loop, range function, indexing, and slicing. So guys, by now I know one thing, that if I want to access any element inside a list, suppose I want to access this string, I'll be writing L10. This will be giving me the output as string. Now, if I want to travel inside this string in the reverse direction, that is from G till S, what I'll be doing? I'll be using slicing on top of this. How? I'll be writing L10 followed by colon colon -1. That is travel in the reverse direction. So I'll be getting the output as reverse of string. Similarly, if I don't define -1, it will be traveling in the forward direction with an increment of 1. It will be giving me string. So I can say if L100 forward by travel in the forward direction inside this string is equal to L10 and traveling in the reverse direction, if these both are same, then that means the string is palindrome. Otherwise, it is not palindrome. So I'll be using an if condition to find whether a string is palindrome or not. So what I'll be writing, for x in range till length of L1, which means start from 0, travel till length of list L1 -1 with an increment of 1 at each iteration. Range function is supplying me values 1 by 1 from 0 till length of L1 -1, and for each value getting stored inside X, I am accessing the element at index X. Then inside that element, if I travel in the forward direction and in the reverse direction and they give me same output, double equals means I am comparing this in the forward direction and in the reverse direction. If they give me same output, I'll be writing print L1X, that is element at index X is a palindrome, else the element is not a palindrome. So in this way, I'll be getting element by element whether it's a palindrome or not. See, string when we travel in forward direction and in the reverse direction are not the same. So it is not a palindrome. Nitin is a palindrome, radar is a palindrome, kayak is a palindrome, pool is not a palindrome. So in this way, we can use a mix of all these things that we have studied till now. That is for loop, range function, indexing, and slicing to resolve the problem. Now let's say we have a list, say 4545. I want to find whether this full list is a palindrome or not. How I'll be doing is, it's simply L1 when traveled in forward direction. If this is equal to L1 when traveled in reverse direction, print its palindrome, else it's not a palindrome. So as forward direction gives me 4545 and reverse direction gives me 5454, it is not a palindrome. If I remove this 5 from here, now this will be a palindrome because 454 in the forward direction is equal to 454 in the reverse direction. So guys, let's say I have one more list, 30, 40, 100, 200, 1000, and I want to find the sum of elements inside the list from 40 till 200. If I want to find the sum of full list, what I do, I have a predefined function sum. I use sum of L1, it will be giving me the total sum inside the list. Similarly, if I want to find the sum of certain elements, certain range inside a list, I'll be using slice. Sum of L1, start index is 0, 1. Starting from 1 index, traveling till 2, 3. This is 3, so I'll be going till 4. And if I don't supply any step, it is taken by default as 1. So this will give me the output as 340. 40 plus 100 is 140 plus 200 is 340. So sum of all these three elements I get using slicing. And similarly, if I want to find this sum in the reverse direction, what I'll be using? This is -1 index, this is -2 index. I'll be starting with -2 followed by -3, -4. -4 -1 is -5. I'll be going till -9 with an increment of -1. So I'll be getting the same output in the reverse direction. Now guys, let's say I have one more list L1, which is a mixture of integer data type, float data type, and string data type. And I want to find the count of each data type. That is how many out of these elements are integer, how many are strings, and how many are float. How I'll be doing this? I'll be first of all defining the count of each data type, which is count underscore underscore int equal to 0, count underscore float is equal to 0, and count underscore string is equal to 0. So I will be traveling this whole list from end to end, and for each element I will be looking into the data type of the element. Whichever data type it is, I'll be incrementing the corresponding counter by 1. For example, here I encounter a data type int, so I'll be incrementing count underscore int by 1. Here I encounter a data type as string, so I'll be incrementing string by 1. Now guys, in order to find the data type of anything, I have a predefined function which is instance. What argument this function takes, we'll look into it with the help of a question mark. So is instance takes an object, that is the element itself, and the class. Now how I will be using this function, I'll supplying here object which is L1 at index x followed by the class. Class means the data type itself, whether it is int, float or string. So this will be returning me either true or false. For example, suppose I want to find the data type of 10, I'll be using L1 0. So L1 0, if it is integer, this function will return me true, else it will return me false. So here it's returning me true. If I supply here as a string, it will be returning me false. So for each true, I'll be incrementing the corresponding counter by 1. How? For x in range length of L1, if is instance L1 x comma integer, then increment count underscore int by 1 elif. Guys, if you don't know about elif, please follow my tutorial on if else statements in Python. So elif is instance L1 at index x is a float, then increment the count underscore float by 1 else. As we have only 3 options, whether integer or float or string. If these two don't hold, that means it is of string data type. So in that case, I'll be incrementing count underscore string by 1. So here I'll be printing the count of each element, whether it is int, float or string, as count underscore int, count underscore float and string. So I'll be getting total integer data type are 3, float data type are 1 and string data type are 3. So if I see here, I have 3 integers, 2 strings and 1 float. So guys, in this tutorial I have again reiterated the concepts of for loop and range function along with the if else statements, and this is all about the list slicing. If you want to get hold over it, do practice this. To practice Python, follow the sequential way of learning using my playlist available in my channel. To test your knowledge, please follow the quiz that I post in the post section of my channel. If you have any doubt, please post in the comment section. If you like the tutorial and this channel, please press the subscribe button and the bell icon. Practice Python, take care of yourself and happy learning.